The comments heard on The View from a Pew are those of Mac McCoy and are not necessarily the opinions of his guests, his producer Garth, any one particular denomination or religion, the church lady, Mr. Lemke, Pastor Craig, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now, here is today's The View from a Pew, heard all around the world on YouTube. Just search for The View from a Pew.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. I am Mac McCoy, and this is The View from a Pew. We are live in Omaha, Nebraska, but for heaven's sakes, thanks to the internet, you're listening to it whenever and wherever. We appreciate that you listen to our programs. You can simply search The View from a Pew, and you'll find us on most pod sites. You'll find us on YouTube, and you'll also find us on Roku. Now, if you're not listening but watching this on Facebook or some social media, you will notice that there's a white box that has a list of all the different places you can find our podcast. And as always, we don't charge for anything we do, so we're glad to share it with you. My guests today are Pastor Craig and Pastor Leandra, and I have to admit something up front. This is my church. And, you know, usually the pastors that I have on, I have visited their church, but they never became my church. And these guys became my church. They've been trying to get rid of me for months, but became my church a couple years ago. And in the past 10 weeks, 8 weeks?
8 weeks, yep.
8 weeks, they had us study the book of Exodus. It was the sermon series. In fact, Leandra wrote this, what would you call it? You call it curriculum.
Yeah, a curriculum, a study guide.
Yeah,
you wrote this. I didn't know, had any idea that you could do that. Did you do all of this?
I don't do any of the design. I just write the words.
You write the, well,
yeah.
That's, as a painter, pictures are not the biggest deal. It is the craft. But, and I remember the first time that they started this series, and Craig and Leandra compared what was going through the life of the Israelites with Moses in Exodus was the same thing or very similar to what you and I go through, and we call it I'm stuck. I'm stuck on this one job that I do, and it pays the bills, but it doesn't really satisfy me. Or because I have 5 kids, I'm kind of stuck on what we can do for vacation. And what Craig and Leandra, along with Jason and Chad, taught, and Tim. I always forget about Tim. I don't know why he's the tallest guy.
He's a rookie.
He's not a rookie. Between you and me, he's not a rookie, but we can say that to his face. Hey, rookie.
Just on staff, not in life.
Yeah, well, I could say that like from the congregation when he came out. Hi, I'm Tim, and I'm your disciple leader here. I could say, "Hey, rookie." No, I wouldn't. So anyway, I just thought I've been through Exodus before, and it's not an exciting book, but you guys made it exciting. And that's what I want to talk about today, is not only this sermon series, but give some insight to my listeners on how these are created and in what process do you go through. And then also, and you said I could say this, Craig, if you like what you hear today and you want to teach this curriculum at your church, Water's Edge will give it to you. So just get a hold of me or get a hold of Craig or Leandra, and you might like to teach this too. You also have videos of all the sermons you did. Mm-hmm. So that's good. All right. So first of all, when did you do this? Because we started it in April?
Yeah, we started it the week after Easter. Is that right?
Yeah, it was right after Holy Week.
Okay.
So I think we were putting this together. I mean, you're the one that did it, but I'm guessing it was February and March. Is that right?
Yeah, because it takes some time to get the actual booklet together, so we were probably working on the content like a month before.
Yeah, to get the booklets printed, we're probably out about 2 or 3 weeks. So we're always, in best case, we're always like, a month or 2 or even 3 out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know right now what you're going to study next May in 25?
We're not that far out. I think we're probably to October this year.
Yeah.
Okay. What motivated you to do? Well, first of all, who named it the Red Sea Road? Did you do that?
So we borrowed the title. It's from a worship song called Red Sea Road. So we knew that we wanted to go through Exodus. So we picked the theme and topics, and then we kind of go back and find a title. And so there's a song about the Red Sea Road, and it's about experiencing freedom. So that's where the title came from.
Yeah,
Did we play the song during this? Do you know
No.
if Jimmy played it?
It played after service, but the worship band didn't play it.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we had like 3 or 4 options for the series title. This was the one that resonated with us the most.
Okay. Yeah. We do on this network, we do something called the Roman Road, and we do a 15-minute Bible study every week, and we're on week 78, and we're not even through Romans 8 yet. But I like the road. God's path to freedom, you said. So, what was the main motivation? If I'm the smartest guy in the room, what did you want me to get out of this? What was the takeaway?
Well, I think when we kind of go through the planning, we talk about what we think people are struggling with, what they're dealing with, try and find something relevant, and we also try and go through a book of the Bible at least once or twice a year, where some of the other sermon series are very topical. We like to go through a book. And so when we were looking at books to do, Exodus was one that came across, and we thought it was very relevant to people kind of experiencing that stuckness and how do we get to whatever our version of the promised land is, and a lot of people don't feel like they're there. So we thought it would be a good book. It's something we hadn't talked about and also very relevant to people.
Yeah, Leandra came up with the word stuck, and when she said that, that really did resonate with me. And one of the other things you'll do as well is look at the topics that you've recently preached about to make sure there's not like a ton of repetition. And I thought that was something that was, the whole idea of being stuck and getting unstuck was fairly new and fairly fresh for us. And then we hadn't gone through the book of Exodus before. And I think it can be a pretty dry book if not done well. I mean, all God's word is inspired and it's all relevant, but some of it's a little bit easier to get through than others. Yeah. And I thought what she did really well on this one was really bring Exodus to life and make it relevant for us.
So my guests today are Pastor Craig and Pastor Leandra from the Water's Edge. That's at 196th and Harrison. Is it in Gretna or just across from Gretna?
Well, we have a Gretna mailing address. We're in the Gretna schools, but then we have to abide by we're in Douglas County, so we have to abide by all the rules of the city of Omaha.
Yeah.
So it's we're kind of a no man's land out there. We're under a bunch of different jurisdictions.
Well, just declare yourself like Texas should,
Yeah.
Your own little area there. So as you got started with writing this, Leandra, what inspired you? And I'm using the word inspired, not just what motivated you and how did you do it. Obviously, you're a good writer and you know your Bible, but something must have shaken your tree when you knew that other people were going to hear this, and experience the Red Sea Road.
Yeah, I think writing it, especially going through a book of the Bible, we're Bible nerds. We like the learning and kind of the fun facts and the study of the Bible, but we always talk about, too, when we're doing these, how is this going to change people? What are we asking them to do? So it's good to learn about Exodus and know the facts and the story, but what does that mean for me? So that's why I added kind of that interactive map at the end and encourage people to kind of fill in the blanks. I really wanted people to experience this for themselves and be like, okay, what could a next step for me be? What's a response? How will this actually impact me?
All right, so if you're watching the TV, I'm doing something very unprofessional. I'm trying to show you the picture, but I can't get it. Anyway, these are available at Water's Edge if you want. But yeah, you had a little 8-week. Every place you got someplace different on this. You had the Golden calf. You had the 10 Commandments tablets. This was the Ark of the Covenant, week 7. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing we did early on, and then Leandra really took it and ran with it. But we did look at really some of the defining stories of Exodus that we did want to cover. You know, for example, the burning bush, the 10 Commandments, the crossing of the sea. So I think that was a way to get started, is how do we look at some of these main stories and then make them relevant for people today.
So let's go back and talk about that for a minute. What are the main stories that came out of Exodus? It was the Moses being spoken to by God, and Moses couldn't look at him because he'd go blind. And he told him about the 10 Commandments, and he came down and gave those to him. That's most usually quoted in Deuteronomy. I mean, that's where everybody finds the 10 Commandments. But you did such a good job on explaining why Moses hitting that rock was wrong. Help us understand that for a minute. Because you would think just hitting a rock to get water and it didn't come up the first time, you'd hit it again. It makes sense. But why did God punish Moses for that?
Well, I think that's the hardest question in this whole story. I think we talked about at the end that the Red Sea Road journey, it was not just about getting to a physical location. It was about developing that relationship with God, and especially between God and Moses. So it felt like this final thing with God of, after all we've been through, he still didn't quite trust him on that last command.
It was almost like Moses was held up to a higher standard than everybody else because there was disobedience all around. But I do think in the end, Moses' reward wasn't going into the promised land. Moses' reward was experienced throughout his life as he followed God closely. So Moses got to experience things that people just don't get to experience. He was up on top of the mountain with God, and he received the 10 Commandments. He got the people so close, and that had to be so rewarding. And it's kind of like, he's the one that planted the tree, and then Joshua was the one that was able to get the fruit from the tree.
My guests today are Pastor Craig and Pastor Leandra from Water's Edge, 196th and Harrison, services at 9 and 10:30, and all kinds of classes throughout the week. During the fall and spring, there's what they call WE, Water's Edge University, where 5 or 6 classes are taught every week for a few weeks. If you ever want to visit a church, this is my church. I admit that up front, and you can call me, and I'll meet you at the front door, and I'll buy you a donut. Well, I guess they're free, so I don't have to buy it.
You can make donations,
Donations.
Make donations for 2 instead of 1.
I'll get you a donut, a cup of coffee, and some tea or hot chocolate, and you'll enjoy yourself. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk. I want to go from what was going on with Moses to how you turned this into us being stuck, because that was brilliant. But that was all you, right, Leandra?
We did it. We talk about it together before.
Oh, you just do that because he's the boss.
Leandra was the primary leader on this one, though. So individual sermons, we allow the individual preacher to, do their take on it, but the whole curriculum would have been hers for sure.
Yeah, well, you did a good job. So when we come back, we're going to learn some of the ways that Exodus taught us that Moses was stuck, but also how we get stuck. I'm Mac McCoy. I love my job. Couldn't do it without you, and I thank you for listening. This is The View from a Pew, brought to you by DivineTruthChristian.com.